This presentation is an analysis of the various coins of Latin American countries and their historical significance on the images within these coins. For this project, the methodology and references that I'm going to use, the methodology is going to be historic research combined with numismatics, and I will go on to describe numismatics a little bit later in this video. And the major references that I'll be using is a website called Numista, which I will also go on into a little bit later, as well as a book called A Catalog of Modern World Coins 1850 to 1964 by R.S. Yeoman. All of these coins are from my personal collection, and these coins are obviously all from Latin American countries as well. So to start, what is numismatics? Numismatics is the study of and collection of coins, paper currencies, metals, and other related materials. Numismatists are serious collectors and dealers that do in-depth analyses of the coins and currency that they have, and grading them as well. The preeminent numismatic bodies include the American Numismatic Association, or ANA for short, and they have a collection in the Smithsonian under the National Numismatics Collection, or the NNC. For some technical terms that will be used throughout this presentation, there's really two terms that I want to go into. The first is the obverse side of the coin, and you can see it in the bottom left corner of the screen, depicted by a quarter with Washington's head. That's the side that bears the principal design, and it's colloquially referred to as the head side of a coin. Contrarily, you have the reverse side, or the tail side. And this side is just a complementary design. You can see it in the bottom right corner with the Washington quarter's eagle. So these two words are going to come up very often throughout the project. Numista, as I had mentioned earlier, is going to be one of the sources that I use quite often. And Numista is an online catalog that lets users search informations of their coins and make notes. There's different pages for each individual coin, and notes from other countries around the world. And it catalogs all different kinds of information, such as the value of the coin and relevant conversions. It also includes the metal composition of the coins, the period that it was used during, different sorts of measurements, different weights, as well as the different designs on the obverse and reverses of the coins. So the primary objective is to analyze the historic significance of certain aspects of these coins. And the two major points that this presentation is going to look at is the historic significance of the obverse side of the coin, as well as the historic significance of the reverse side of the coin. Why are they relevant, and why potentially does it make sense for them to be on the coin? So to start off, we first have the Argentinian 1 peso coin. As you can see on the right side of the screen, you see the obverse closer to the writing and the reverse on the very far side. As for the obverse is actually a replica of an earlier Argentinian coin, the 8 escuados from 1813. It's an exact replica, and the obverse, ironically, is the replica of the reverse side of the coin from 1813. Likewise, the reverse is also a replica of the same coin, from 1813, and similar to the obverse, the reverse is actually the replica of the obverse side of the coin. The obverse side of this coin, as you can see kind of in the middle of the screen here, is indicative of Argentina's national arms. In essence, it's basically their state seal. Next, we have the 10 centavos from Brazil. On the obverse side of the coin, towards the middle of the screen, it has the country's national arms, which is indicated by the star as well as the images inside of the star. And this star is flanked by leaves right perfectly around it that are both tobacco and coffee leaves. And this is important because during Brazil's heyday as a colonial exporter, they had exported a significant amount of tobacco and coffee. That was the biggest exports that they had. The reverse is rather plain. It has the state name, obviously Brazil, as well as the denomination, which is 10 centavos. Next, we have another coin from Brazil, 1 real. The obverse is the Effigie da República, which is basically a national personification of the Republic of Brazil. Very similar to the Colombia for the United States or Britannia for Britain. It's very similar in idea. The reverse is actually it's rather plain as well. It has the one real denomination, but towards the top corner of it you can see four or five stars barely made out. These are the Southern Cross, which is a symbol very important to these Latin American countries, most often related to chivalry in a sense. Next we have 100 pesos from Chile. And on the obverse of the coin, there is a Mapuche woman, and in Spanish, the very bottom of it says Pueblos Originarios, which is native peoples. So this obverse is paying homage to the natives of the area. And on the reverse, it has the denomination of 100 pesos, as well as the country's national arms, which is a pattern that we'll start to see as we go on more and more, that the country's national arms usually makes an appearance somewhere on the coin. Next is 100 pesos from Colombia, and on the obverse side of the coin, the front, Colombia's national arms are emblazoned on it, with República de Colombia, the Republic of Colombia. And on the back, it's very plain. It has the denomination 100 pesos and a laurel wreath. Next, we have the Dominican Republic, and this is 5 pesos. On the obverse, you have the denomination of 5 pesos, as well as the Dominican Republic's national arms to the very right of the 5, which I have countless times mistaken it as 50 pesos, thinking it was supposed to be a very ornate 0. On the reverse, you have a portrait of Francisco del Rosario Sanchez, and on the very bottom, you see the dates 1947 to 1997, and this actually commemorates the 50-year commemoration of the central bank. As for Sanchez was one of the founding fathers of the Dominican Republic, therefore it makes sense for him to be on the coin. Not unlike the US having Washington or Jefferson on the quarter or nickel, respectively. Next, we have 100 sucres from Ecuador. The obverse of the coin is the Ecuadorian national arms, and it also has the date as well as República del Ecuador, the Republic of Ecuador. On the reverse, you have the denomination, 100 sucres, as well as a portrait of Antonio José de Sucre. Interestingly, on the very top of the reverse, it says Bicentenario Natalicio, which is commemorating 100 years since his birth. Antonio José de Sucre was a very renowned liberator of Ecuador and Peru from the Spanish Empire. Next, we have 500 sucres, also from Ecuador, and the obverse is the same. It's the Ecuadorian national arms, as well as the date, the República del Ecuador. On the reverse, you have the denomination, which is 500 sucres, as well as a portrait of Ecuadorian President Isidro Ayora, and the very top of it says Reforma del Estado, commemorating state reforms. Our last coin from Ecuador is 1,000 sucres, and of course the obverse is the same. It's the Ecuadorian national arms with the writing and the date it was minted. On the reverse, there's the denomination of 1,000 sucres, as well as a portrait of politician and scientist Eugenio Espejo. Next, we go to Haiti, and the Haitian coin that I have is a 5 centime. The obverse is a portrait of Charlemagne Perrault. He was a nationalist leader who led guerrilla warfare against the United States when they tried to encroach in on Haiti's territory. On the reverse side, on the very bottom, you see a little 5, which indicates the denomination. You also have the Haitian national arms, which is right above it, as well as the phrase Liberté, Égalité, Fraternité, which is French for liberty, equality, and brotherhood. So you see some French influence in there, which makes sense since Haiti had a lot of French influence in it. Next is the $1 Jamaican dollar. The obverse of it has the national arms of Jamaica, as well as the denominational value. The reverse of it has a portrait of Sir Alexander Bustamante, and he was the first prime minister of independent Jamaica. Next, we have the $20 coin from Jamaica. The obverse is very similar to the previous coin. It has the denomination and the national arms, but the reverse of this has a portrait of Marcus Garvey, who was a Jamaican-born black nationalist and leader of the Pan-Africanism movement. And now we move on to Mexico, starting with a 5 centavos. The obverse has the Mexican national arms, which is indicated by an eagle right in the center there, and it says Estados Unidos Mexicanos, which is the United States of Mexico. The reverse shows the denomination, which 5 centavos, 5 centavos, as well as a portrait of Josefa Ortiz de Domínguez, and she was a Mexican insurgent that fought during the Mexican War for Independence, and is revered as a hero for it. Next, we move on to the 50 centavos coin, and once again, the Mexican national arms is on the obverse of the coin. The reverse of the coin has the denomination, which says 50 centavos, or 50 centavos, and it also has a portrait of Cuauhtemoc, who was the final Aztec emperor before the fall of the Aztec Empire, and was also the nephew and son-in-law to Montezuma II, arguably one of the most famous Aztec emperors. Next, we have 1 peso, and this one is from the 1975 era, although the coin on this one says 1971. 1975, I believe, was the year that it phased this one out. The Mexican Mint phased this one out. And, of course, the obverse has the national arms. The reverse has the denomination 1 peso, as well as a portrait of José María Telco Morelos y Pavón. And he was a priest and a revolutionary during the Mexican independence movement. And he was the individual who took up leadership of the movement after the death of Miguel Hidalgo. And the last Mexican coin that I have is 1 peso from a more recent mint from 2008. And this one, of course, has the Mexican national arms on it. The denomination is on the back, 1 peso. And the outer ring, actually, is modeled based on the Aztec calendar stone. Even though the reverse of this coin seems very plain, the outer ring of it is somewhat ornate in order to mimic the Aztec calendar stone. And last, we have a coin from El Salvador, 1 colon. The obverse is a portrait of Christopher Columbus, and it reads República del El Salvador, the Republic of El Salvador. On the reverse side, it has the denomination of 1 colon inside a wreath. Interestingly enough, Colon is the Spanish version of Columbus's last name, and the colon was named from El Salvador named the colon as their currency to commemorate his voyages to the Americas. So, in conclusion, the various coins throughout Latin America are indicative of symbols and people who are important to the history of these various countries. They pick people that, not unlike the United States with our coinage, they pick people who mean something to them. They pick folk heroes, they pick national heroes in order to emblazon their coins. These coins not only show the crucial parts of Latin American history, but interestingly enough, the best example being El Salvador, they're also indicative of their colonial history as well, with the colon being named after Christopher Columbus, for example. Or another example is Haiti's coinage being centimes, very similar to the French coinage, which has the same name for their decimal coins. Or centavos, which is Spanish. But this also shows the lasting effects that these had on these colonial times had on Latin America. So hopefully you've enjoyed this presentation. I had a lot of fun making it, and I hope you all have a wonderful day.